Hello, welcome to the tutorial. We're going to have a look at a few skills on Onshape. If you work at the Eastern Learning Alliance, then or at school at the Eastern Learning Alliance, then this is the place to learn some basic skills. We're going to make a simple dice and then a shaker to put the dice in. Okay, and I'm going to cue you to stop and to have a go at the skills along the way. So just watch and follow the instructions. First of all, what we want to do is have a little orientation of the software. So if you haven't done so already, you will see that when you've logged in, your teacher has probably made a class for you to join and probably put an assignment in there. If not, and you're working from scratch, then you can create a new document using the create button at the top. Once you've made a document, it will open up for you. Now, if you ever get an error at the top that says that the sketch is being prepared, like a blue bar here at the top, it means that you need to refresh. So you need to go back into restart the software essentially so that it can find it again. It's lost its connection with the server at Onshape and it needs to reconnect before you can carry on. So look out for a blue bar that might appear at the top at school sometimes. Now, inside this space, we don't need this one open. I'm just going to close that. So inside this space, we've got our geometry list down here. So anything that's in our scene is labeled here. So you can see I've got my front, my right, my top, and the origin. Okay, now whenever we start drawing in Onshape, it's a good idea to start drawing at the origin. So we want to start drawing at this point here. We can zoom in and out with the roller ball on your mouse. Okay, but you can also right click and left click and tilt and rotate. And where you zoom in and out with the roller ball, you can, wherever the mouse is where it's going to zoom in on. So if your mouse is all over here and you zoom out, then it will zoom out away from that point. And then when you zoom in, it will zoom into it. So you can lose the origin. If you ever lose where you are, just come over to the view cube and you can click on one of the corners and it will reset it for you. The view cube is really helpful to get things organized and to quickly navigate to very set places. All right. Down next to that, there's this little icon. You can set it into, these are very well-known views that people use in 3 dimensions. So isometric is like a really standard view that people use to view objects in 3 dimensions. You'll notice that this is just off isometric, and that's deliberate so you can see where the planes sit with each other. So in a second, we're going to start our first process. But before we do that, I would like you to pause the video, go and have a play and get back to this point where you've got the screen. So you've got no items in your document apart from these 4, and you've got your screen set up like this. So if you go and do that and then come back in a second. Okay, so I'm assuming now you're confident with the interface and you know where things are. The process we use for drawing in Onshape is really quite simple. We start off by making a shape, drawing a shape on a sketch. So we always start off with the 2 dimensionals on a sketch. And then once we've drawn it, what we need, the guidelines we need, or the computer needs to make 3 dimensions, we then turn it into 3 dimensions with these tools along here. And there's quite a few of them hiding away. I'll introduce you to some of them in these tutorials. So before we start, we just want to make sure that you have set up your document correctly. So inside the settings, we want to go to document properties. Oh no, sorry, cancel that. We want to go to workspace units and we want to change it from inch at the top for lengths to centimeters, just so that we're working in something that we understand. Okay, click the tick button. Whenever you click this tick button, a menu will disappear and it will say that you have finished working with that menu. So in a second, I'm going to make a sketch. I want to tell the computer that I want the sketch to appear on the top. So I can click here, or I can click here with a left click, and then I can say sketch, create new sketch. I click on it and a menu opens. Now, whilst I am sketching, I need to leave this open. Okay. If I close it, so I click tick or I click cross, the sketch remains, but I'm not editing it. And you can see that I can't click any of the 2-dimensional drawing tools that I need. If I do that, I can double click on it and I can start the sketch again. And now my two-dimensional drawing tools have started up again. To make it easy to draw, I will click on the top here so that I can see the view easily. Then I'm going to go, and in this case, I'm going to use this rectangle tool. Whenever you see an arrow pointing down, there are other options. I'm going to use center point rectangle because I know where the center of my scene is, so it's going to make it easy for me to position my rectangle. Hovering over, I click and drag out. Now it doesn't matter how big or what shape I make this initially. Once I click again, or I finish it, as long as I don't click anything else, I can type in the dimension I want. So I'm going to type in a 5 there and press enter. And then I'm going to type a 5 again and press enter. This means I know that my square is 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters. If I've made a mistake and I didn't do that, and I've accidentally got rid of those two dialog boxes, up at the top, there is a dimension tool that looks like this. If I click on that and click on one side to another side, it will allow me to draw the dimension on. I'm going to press escape to drop that tool because I didn't want to finish it. And anytime I want to release a tool because I didn't want to draw, I can press escape. Escape. Okay? If I make a mistake, I can press Control Z to undo. So if I draw something completely, and actually I didn't want that, Control Z will undo it. You'll notice that it picks up and drops these tools as I press escape on the keyboard, so I can easily get back to having a white cursor which enables me to do other things. Now I've drawn my square, it's time for you to have a go at drawing yours. I'm going to wait for a second, you go and draw yours, and then we'll make it into 3 dimensions in a second. Okay, so we're ready to move on. We've finished drawing our square. It's ever so simple this time. And I'm going to click, thank you very much. I'm ready to finish that sketch. Having finished the sketch, you can still see it. I'm going to go to the top point and make it 3-dimensional. So I can see where it sits inside my scene. And this is absolutely center on the scene, which is going to make things easier later on. Now I want to make that 3-dimensional. I need to tell the computer that this is what I want to make 3-dimensional. So I click on it and you can see that it's highlighted the sketch over here. Up at the top, we've got a number of options: revolve, sweep, loft, thicken, fillet, chamfer. And you'll have time to play around with these when you get more advanced with the software. But at the moment, we're just going to extrude. When I click on this button, it starts a menu. The menu opens up and I can set a lot of different settings. At this point in time, we're making a new part. We haven't made one before, so there's no other option. We can't add or remove from this part because we haven't made one yet. So it's automatically said we want a solid new part. It's guessing, but it's probably right. And we want it to be 5 centimeters, so we've got a cube. I don't need to put centimeters in. It's going to assume that's what I mean. I just type 5. Once I click tick, it says, I've done that for you. There it is, finished. If I want to go and edit that, I've made a mistake. Let's say I made it 6 instead of 5, or I removed material, or it didn't work. I can double click to open it again. Now it knows that I have used the sketch. So it's made the sketch invisible. It's made it kind of grayed out because it's being used with this extrusion. But I can still go back and edit it. And if I go in and edit my sketch, let's say I change this to 6 for a moment. If I go and edit my sketch and say thank you, it will also edit the 3-dimensional shape. I'm going to change that back again by double clicking on there, pressing 5 and pressing enter, so it's changed back again. I click tick to close the sketch. The same is true of extrude. If I double click, I can go into this menu and I can start doing all sorts of different things that might be useful. This has added a draft angle, so you can see it gets wider at the top. I can reverse that so it gets wider at the bottom. There's a huge number of options inside there for you to explore, but we're not going to carry on now. I would like you to go and make your cube 3-dimensional. Remember, you can rewind the video if you need to. I'm going to stop this video here, and we're going to start this second one when you're ready.